Puffshroom. It's one of the best plants in Plants vs. Zombies, as per the community. Essential for night and fog levels, it costs 0 sun, shoots the same damage output as a normal pea shooter, and it just gets your job done for early defense. So why is it overrated? Hi, my name is Sasquatch, and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about one of my biggest hot takes within the Plants vs. Zombies community. And this take is that Puffshroom, or Puff as I call it, is overrated. Now before you lose your mind, this video is purely subjective. I do make arguments as to why Puffshroom isn't the best plant, and some to say that he's even mediocre, but that's just my opinion, and I am not saying that Puffshroom is a bad plant. Without further ado, let's get going. First, I'm going to be talking about 3 categories in which Puffshroom is used in the game: Adventure Mode, Minigames, and Survival. Sorry, puzzle fans. I want to focus on the regular game progression. Of course, we have to start with Adventure. Obviously, Puffshroom does get a lot of use during Adventure Mode. You use it during night levels and fog levels. You pick this plant up right after you complete day on 110. It might be a little bit weird because, you're picking up a mushroom. It's different from your other plants, but whenever your first time playing through the game, you realize that you're soon going to be not playing during daytime, but nighttime. One of the things that Puffshroom mitigates during the nighttime levels is the fact that sun doesn't fall from the sky during night levels. Puffshroom mitigates this by having its free cost and all of its damage, the similar damage to the pea shooter and the 0 sun cost combined together to make a free plant that is just extraordinary for setup and early game defense. But that's honestly just about it, at least for casual players. Puffshroom is just an early defense plant that serves to buy time until sun production can be obtained, and better plants can be planted. I only find myself using Puffshroom for a little bit of time. It's only super useful at the very start of levels whenever you don't have anything to work with, and you need time to build up the sun to put other plants down. It's not the best plant in the game. Yes, it is free, it's just not very strong. The whole reason that it's not strong is because of its short range. It basically just takes the pea shooter range and condenses it into like 3 tiles in front of it. This causes it to only be able to shoot things that are 3 tiles in front of it, which means that only 3 shrooms can be attacking a zombie at once. It takes 3 whole mushrooms to kill 1 conehead, and generally the conehead's gonna eat one of them before it dies. With 2 coneheads, your defense is in big trouble, especially if it's only Puffshrooms. The argument for the range is that the plant is spammable and it has a short cooldown, and because it's free, you can just plant it down immediately. However, I still don't see how this counters multiple zombies in one lane or area or row, or in huge waves. During huge waves, Puffshrooms are just not very effective. They're easily overwhelmed by the number of zombies that come in. The first few night levels and even the first few fog levels can easily be overcome with just Puffshroom, but when the difficulty starts to get a little bit more difficult, you start needing more than just the puffs. Personally, while playing the game casually, I haven't used Puffshroom to do super extraordinary things. I just used it because I had to. Even for fog levels, I use Puff for the start, but after that, I just get the amount of sun that I need for a planter or other plants. I don't need it anymore. It becomes kind of obsolete after a short amount of time. That's about all that I have to say for the adventure side of things. Let's move on to minigames. Minigames are fun, and they can give you a break from the normal game, but you knew that already, so let me elaborate. Puffshroom is used in 2 out of 20 whole minigame levels. The entirety of minigames, Puffshroom is used in 2. There's only 6 night minigames, which are where Puffshroom is really effective, and those are Whack-A-Zombie, Portal Combat, It's Raining Seeds, Beghouled, and Beghouled Twist, as well as finally Invisighoul. These are the only minigames where Puffshroom is a decent and viable option. Oh wait, in 4 of these you leave your entire defense up to RNG? They give you Puffshrooms though, right? No? They don't give you Puffshrooms at all? Okay, so in Whack-A-Zombie, It's Raining Seeds, Portal Combat, and Invisigool, you don't even get to choose your plants. Basically, you just leave it up to RNG, except for Whack-A-Zombie, which it gives you set plants. Technically, you can't choose your plants in Begooled or Begooled Twist either, but those minigames actually have Puffshroom in them. Regardless, you can't pick your plants in any of these minigames, and you can't even receive Puffshroom in 4 of them. This brings us down to 2 minigames that you can use Puffshroom in, and you don't even have to use them for these 2 either. Okay, so let me explain. In Begooled and Begooled Twist, you don't use Puffshrooms the whole time either. Why? Because you can turn them into Fume Shrooms. Fume Shrooms are better in these minigames because you can easily spot matches with them, and they're huge. They're bigger than Puffshrooms by a long shot, so they're easier to see and easier to spot matches. There's no reason to keep them Puffshrooms after you get 500 Sun, which, by the way, is super easy in the Begooled minigames. So Puffshroom really isn't useful in any of the minigames. Well, in that case, let's move on to survival. Okay, so survival is a different ballpark. In survival, you actually have to kind of worry about yourself for more than just 2 or 3 flags. You have to generally worry about yourself for minimum 5 flags, and if you're playing Survival Endless, you always have to worry about what your setup looks like and if you're gonna survive. First of all, let's just talk about the normal and hard survivals. I'll get into Endless right after this, and that's where things will get a little bit more competitive. I'm a speedrunner for this category, specifically normal survivals, so I'm not going to say that Puffshroom is useless, and saying that is absolutely insanity, and just, it's ridiculous to say that Puffshroom is useless in survival games. Instead, what I'm going to think about is from the mind of a casual player. For a casual player, they likely won't use Puff after the first flag. Taking into this account that there are only 4 night levels that you can play in the normal and hard survivals, this is not great. You only get to use Puffshroom for flag 1. Once flag 2 starts, on night and on fog, there's just too many coneheads to really consider using Puffshroom without Imitator. And speaking of Imitator, Imitator really makes the difference for Puffshroom. If you don't have Imitator, you're only planting 1 Puffshroom every 7 or so seconds, and you can't hold all of the lanes without Imitator. Even with Imitator, it's still a struggle to hold all of the lanes, especially on flag 2, whenever the game gets just significantly harder. Night has the inclusion of graves, and fog has, fog and the pool, so it's a little bit more difficult, especially on these certain levels, to survive past flag 2 using Puffshrooms. You have to use something different. And for the hard survivals, you have to get past Puffshroom after the first flag for sure, because you have no way of dealing with bucketheads. Puffshrooms are just ineffective against bucketheads. So you have to be ready with something else that isn't a Puffshroom. Survival Endless is where things get a little bit more competitive. I'll talk about the speedrunning strategies just a little bit to make use of Puffshroom, and I'll talk about an argument that I haven't addressed just yet. First of all, a lot of speedrunning strategies that involve Puffshroom are based around stalling, and stalling is the argument that I haven't gotten into yet. Stalling is whenever you plant a plant in front of a zombie in order to make it stop moving. This is used generally in speedruns and competitive play in order to slow zombies down, stall zombies out for use of a lawnmower, or various other different things where you can manipulate where the zombies go. For Survival Endless, though, specific strategies kind of revolve around this Puffshroom and these stall strategies. Specifically, cobless strategies. Survival Endless is extremely competitive, especially when the game ramps up your difficulty by like flag 10. By flag 10, you're generally struggling with Gargantuars and Gigagargs, and those are just hard to deal with. So using Puffshroom is a super effective way to get Gargantuars to stop and pause for a long time, because if you're doing things correctly, you will generally have them slowed down with your winter melons. But on top of all of this, you still have alternative options. Generally, in a Cobblist setup, you have plenty of sun to work with, and in Survival Endless in general, you will have plenty of sun to work with. I don't see a very big issue with using something that isn't Puffshroom. Obviously, you can use Ice Shroom, which is very popular for the Cobblist strategies, but Puffshroom is really, really good at stalling. I can't really deny that one, and I think that is the only actual point that I have to let go of, mostly because it is very good at stalling. And I'm not going to say that it's not good at stalling. Puffshroom is still a really, really good competitive plant, and casually, it's okay. It does its job. But I just don't think that it's this heavenly plant that has angel wings around it that everyone says that it is. So this is why I think that Puffshroom is overrated. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked the video, please hit the like button and subscribe. And if you didn't like the video, tell me why. Tell me why you think Puffshroom is underrated or overrated, or tell me your opinion. Let me know. Remember, this is just my opinion. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Hey guys, Sasquatch again here in post-editing. I just wanted to let you guys know that this video takes forever to work on, so if you could please hit that like button and subscribe if you really like this video. It takes forever to put together, and I would really appreciate it. Thank you guys.